Chimamanda. My name is Judy Kayal Irakoze. I am Burundian, and before I give my speech on the culture of silence, I want to say thank you for the Telling Room, which is the organization that I'm here to represent. The Telling Room is my home, is my family, is where I found my voice, is where I was trained to write and own my voice and embrace my power. I am a radical feminist. Feminism has made me embrace the radical notion that I am a human being who deserves equal rights, regardless of my race, gender, social status, and sexuality. My feminist politics are based on the daily reminder that I have a voice and I must speak, articulate, and own my experiences, but mostly never negotiate about my humanity because silence has never protected me. Thank you. How many times have you stayed quiet about your pain, struggles, rights? How many times have you, a woman, walked in a room full of men and shrank yourself immediately? How many times have you questioned your opinion, wondered if your voice mattered? How many times did you see the world collapsing and you stayed quiet? How many times did you justify your silence with the conditioned narrative that silence is a virtue? How many times have you chosen to enjoy your privileges and now raise a finger about the less privileged? How many times were you afraid to affirm who you are? How many times do you speak? How often do you say the absolute truth, reject civility to diminish your oppression, and own your narratives? We exist in a society that thrives on inequalities by the culture of silence. We are raised to normalize pain, live with fear. We are conditioned to believe silence as a survival tool, a peaceful way of existing, and a virtue in itself. I'm talking about the woman who hasn't reported the employer who sexually assaults her every day at work. I'm talking about the underpaid worker who deserves a raise but is quietly watching their boss collect millions through exploitation of labor. I'm talking about the queers who hide their sexuality hoping to be protected. I'm talking about the Black Muslim, despite experiencing racism and bigotry every single day, she must make sure she's not looking angry. I'm talking about trans folks who, despite being in a world where they are not guaranteed to live more than 35 years, they try to maintain the cis-normativity. Silence is socialized and institutionalized through the many ways we are taught to reduce our voices and our demands. It is forced on us and it renders us unaccountable. We associate our voice with our social power. Some are denied to speak based on their race, others their gender, or sexuality, or social class. We demonize anger. We deny each other the right to speak, to be human, to just simply exist. Silence kills our relationships, our connections, our great idea, and the possibility of a better world. Do you wonder how a world would be if we normalized race conversation, gender conversation, and class issues? If we were quick to grant to each other the right to speak and say the absolute truth? If today we just acknowledge that trans women are women who don't need any validation from cisgender women, all they need is their right to exist and live. Audre Lorde said, "We are taught to respect fear more than ourselves. We've been told that silence will save us, but it has not, and it won't." September 21st, 2004, I was sexually assaulted by a neighbor. I remember repeating in my head how I was going to tell the story to my mom, but I did not tell her. I did not articulate my experience to anyone. I felt powerless and alone. At 9 years old, I was already denied the right to speak. Recently, inspired by Me Too, I broke the silence and shared my story. The normalization of the oppressed screaming and demanding justice and equal rights is the reason millions of women have read online under the hashtag to tell their stories. In the words of Zola Neale Holston, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. But the hard truth is that the first to come forward had to be a privileged woman, one with social capital and an undeniable voice. That is the very saddest reality of our society. The privileged need to care enough to speak, to use their platforms, their voice to speak for something to truly matter. Today, the world seems to be heading in a very wrong direction. It feels like everything around us is collapsing, but I also believe change is happening and healing can come. The citizens of this country are now collectively addressing its injustice. It is sad that for a women's march to happen, we had to get to our lowest. It took a bigoted, racist, and sexist president for all of us to wake up. It is sad for the IC to be addressed. We had to get to a point where it's a national crisis. It is very sad that we had to lose our favorite celebrities to mental health, to collectively now break the silence and stigma attached to mental illness. It is sad that silence is always broken when someone whose existence loudly matters to all of us is affected by it. We must collectively ask ourselves, what are we doing to make the world a place we are happy to be in? We must move beyond our actions. We must, all of us, use our privilege to create a fair and equal world. And this starts at homes, our school, our workplaces. We must unpack our own privilege and ask the underprivileged how we can be great allies to their cause. We must start speaking. We must start practicing owning our voices, embracing our voices, and daily using our voices. We must refuse to deny each other the ability to speak, to exist, and to be human. We must start listening, then we can dismantle the culture of silence. And my question to you today is, are you listening? Because that is the only way to fight silence.